Good afternoon. Come on, you can do better than that. All right. Our next guest was hired to coach basketball here in 1987. During that time, she has built the program into not just one of, but the preeminent program in women's basketball. She's a member of the Hall of Fame and the most recent coach to coach a national championship team. Welcome, Muffet McGraw. So, Muffet, when the season wound down last year and Brianna Turner was out, and you began to realize that she was going to be out for this season, then come January, you had 3 more key players that were suddenly out. At any point did you say, I don't think this is our year?
I think at every point, I think I said that. Losing Brianna Turner, All-American, ACC Player of the Year, we really expected she would be back, and then we kept thinking maybe October, maybe November, and then when she realized she wasn't going to be ready, she decided not to play, and we were really worried at that point. But then Jessica Shepard became eligible in November, so we traded one All-American for another, and I thought, you know what, we have a chance to do something special. But a few weeks later, we started practice and lost one player to an ACL injury, our backup point guard. Then we lost one of our freshmen who was taking Brianna's place as a really good defender inside and just a great potential. She tore her ACL at practice. So now we're heading into December, and we've got a much smaller team. We've kind of reworked what we're going to do on defense, what we're going to do on offense. And then first ACC game, we lose one of our starting point guards to another ACL injury. So if you would have told me that we were going to have more ACL injuries than losses, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But it was miraculous. And it wasn't just the ACLs. We had a broken nose, a couple of sprained ankles, elbow to the eye, swollen shut, couldn't play. It just seemed like we just kept getting knocked down all year long. And every time we got knocked down, I kept thinking, is this it? Is this going to be the knockout punch? Are we going to be able to get back up from this one? Because you start to feel like a victim when things go wrong. You start to think, why us? What did I do? Why can't we get over this? A couple of years ago, we were undefeated heading into the Final Four. We lost one of our All-Americans to an ACL injury in the regional final and lost in the championship game. And it's happened so many times that it's great to have this team, probably the most unexpected and the most rewarding for sure.
So in January, you had a big game, Tennessee here at home. Just the week before, you'd been really beat badly by Louisville. And all of a sudden, the game started going in that direction. You were down by 23 points, but by the end, you won by 14. What did that feel like? Did you say, this is it? This is our turning point?
We hit the low point of the year on the road, national televised game. I played the worst loss we've had in terms of the numbers since we've been in the ACC, really probably in program history. It was really a devastating loss. We took just a major hit on national TV. So we were embarrassed. We came home and really tried to figure out where are we going to go from here? Is this how we're going to be? We went into the Tennessee game. They were in the top 10, playing them at home, and we're down 23. And we just start to wonder, are the wheels just going to fall off? Is this the end of our season? So we talked at halftime about this team. What do you want this team to be at the end of the year? What's your legacy going to be? Is this where we're going to be a team that can be resilient and overcome this, or are we just going to crash and have just a dismal season? So they came out with a lot of fight. They've really played well defensively. They really all bought in. We executed to perfection and turned a 23-point deficit into a 14-point win, and that was absolutely the turning point of the season. I mean, we knew from then on we could be really good.
So then, as the NCAA tournament progressed, you found yourself in all too familiar territory up against UConn again. And they're an opponent. Everyone's an opponent, but they're an opponent. And then they have that coach that really makes things difficult. So is it harder against UConn? Does it feel sweeter when you get that victory?
I love playing UConn. I really do. I think it's a game nationally that is the most exciting game in women's basketball. Everybody looks forward to it. I like it a lot better when we win. When we were in the Big East and we played them 4 times, won 6 out of 8, 2 years in the Big East, and that was really exciting for us. So anytime you can beat a team that's on top, a team that everybody thinks is going to win, they're undefeated coming in, they're the prohibitive favorite. Nobody expected us to even be in the game, let alone to win. So, yeah, making that walk down after the game to the other team to shake hands, that might have been my favorite part of the win over Connecticut.
I have to tell you that when we play UConn and when you go to shake Gino's hand, there's not another game where I wait to watch that moment, but I never miss that one when we win, and we win more than they do. So what did you say to your team right before we went into overtime?
You know, that was a really important time because we had just blown a 5-point lead with 22 seconds left. It's almost impossible to do. And, you know, we're up 5, we score, he takes a timeout, and I think all we've got to do is take care of the ball, make some free throws, we're going to win the game. So I said, listen, here's the thing. Do not give up a 3. That's the only thing. Don't give up a 3. Give him a 2. We're up 5. Give him a 2, not a 3. And if the ball goes in, don't call a timeout. So we go out. We immediately give up the 3. Somebody's driving. Everybody runs into the lane. They toss it out. They hit the 3. The ball goes through the net. We immediately call timeout. So we're out of timeouts. You know, now we've got to get the ball in. We have just a bad play. We don't set a good screen. We don't come and meet the ball. They steal it. They go down and make a layup, and now it's a tie game. We still have a chance to win, and we turn it over. And then they have a chance to win, and luckily they missed the shot. So that timeout between the regulation and the overtime I thought was really critical because, you know, you want to strangle them, but you can't. And so instead of trying to figure out, you know, what happened, how did we get here, we really focused on what do we got to do next. How are we going to win this game? How are we going to put them away? We had the game won. It's a really demoralizing moment for your team, especially for the ones that had just turned it over and made some mistakes. So it was a big moment for us, and we regrouped. Jackie Young came out, continued to play a fabulous game, and then, of course, the late game heroics by Enrique was just phenomenal to watch.
What did that moment feel like?
You know, it was kind of surreal. You don't know what's going to happen. We got up again in the overtime, and, you know, they came back and tied it. And so we've got the ball. We know we're going to get the last shot. We know Enrique's going to take it because she really wanted the ball in her hands. We set a great pick and roll for her. She came off the screen, made just a great shot. And it's just complete euphoria. As a coach, the most rewarding thing for me, besides seeing our alums at the game, which we had about 40 of them, at the game is just watching the joy on their face as they celebrate with each other after a big win like that. I love that moment.
I want to get back to all the alums at the game, but I don't want to leave Gino yet. So, you know, that picture surfaced a few years ago with him in a Notre Dame sweatshirt. Very early picture of the two of you. Do you remember that?
I do.
Did he ever admit that he really loves Notre Dame deep down?
No. No. And he's a Catholic, too. He shouldn't be lying like that because you know he loves Notre Dame. Yeah, he's not Irish Catholic, but, you know. We were at the Jersey Shore, and we were having a little bit of a coach's clinic. Jim Foster, who I coached for at St. Joe's, Gino also coached for, so kind of a mutual mentor. And we were all down the shore talking X's and O's. We went outside to take a picture, and he was cold, so my husband, Matt, gave him his sweatshirt and took the picture. And it did resurface not too long ago. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it got on there.
Gino wore it all weekend. Okay, so the national championship game. Let's cheer a little louder. The team fell behind 30-17 at half against Mississippi State. What did you say to them in the locker room at halftime?
You know, this is the most unusual team I've ever coached. We have never been a team that liked to play from behind. We've never been a team that couldn't handle winning, being up big. You know, we had so many games where we'd have a big lead and we would just let it fritter away. And I've never had a team like that. But this team, they got behind constantly, and so we knew it wasn't going to be easy for us to come back, but we hadn't really executed. We scored 3 points in the second quarter, which is a NCAA record, I think, all-time low. Just couldn't get anything going offensively. So we made some adjustments as to what we're going to do offensively, got the ball in Jessica Shepard's hands, and just really knuckled down defensively. That was the big key. They had a 6'7" center who we had trouble guarding, so we double-teamed her and got her to turn it over a couple of times, and fortunately made some shots down the stretch. What an amazing comeback.
So before we actually show the play on the video board, we'd be remiss if we didn't. What was supposed to happen in that last play? Like, how did you draw it up?
So the last play, their big kid had just fouled out. Jessica Shepard was 8 for 10 from the field. She's having a great game, so we're going to go inside. They have a foul to give, which means if we caught the ball and they fouled us, we'd have to bring it out of bounds again, and time would run off the clock, and we probably wouldn't get a shot. So we were going to go inside so Jess could really just turn and shoot and hopefully get at least 2 free throws, if not a made basket. But they double-teamed her. So the backup plan was Enrique coming off a screen, and, you know, this is just great coaching. Enrique makes a big shot against Connecticut, and I'm like, don't give it to Enrique. no, let's go to Jessica. So fortunately, Jess was double-teamed, and we go back to Enrique. And, of course, after the game, it was just like I drew it up. That was exactly what we were supposed to do, and she makes the big shot to win the game.
And she hadn't had the best game of her life, right?
She had an awful game,
Yep.
but she has a really short memory, which is a great trait to have. Really short memory.
And lots of confidence. Let's see how it played out. Let's roll that video. Can you play that one more time? We're going to get up and move and see it even better. I've seen that about 100 times, and I'm hoping to see it 100 more. So what were you thinking?
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I couldn't believe it. After all we've been through, this was the hardest year, the most challenging year I've ever had as a coach. It was so incredibly difficult every day, just trying to get through practice and figuring out how we're going to keep going, hoping nobody got in foul trouble, nobody get the flu, nobody can do anything. So to have that moment where finally, I think that's what I was thinking. Finally, things are going our way. For once, that leprechaun put that ball right in the hoopy. They had a layup at the other end that they missed that I don't know how it rolled off. And just the luck of the Irish. What an amazing, amazing feeling.
You hadn't won a national championship since 2001. What did this one feel like? And how was it different?
You know, I thought it was different. In 17 years to the day, Easter Sunday, clearly the day that Notre Dame needs to be having all the Catholics in the country praying for us to win a national championship. So I'm hoping next year that we're on Easter Sunday again. You know, it's a lot different. I think in this game, before we got to the locker room, Enrique knew that Kobe was tweeting at her. We had been able to watch the last shot a couple of times. Back in 2001, we didn't have cell phones. We had to wait till we got back to campus to put the VHS tape in to see how the game really went. So I think the media attention is just so much bigger because of social media and everything that was online. So it was definitely, I think this was a game where coast to coast, people who aren't great followers of women's basketball just watched the game. And they really, it was the first time for ESPN they were in the black for a Final Four for women. So it was huge, I think, just in a lot of ways for everybody. Cross country for women's basketball, it was awesome.
I think that you elevated women's basketball leaps and bounds with that game and the replaying of that and the talk of that and the fact that people now see that women's basketball is every bit as exciting as men's. What do you think about that?
Well, it was the most exciting Final Four ever. I mean, it was... It will never be topped. I don't think 2 games in overtime, you know, and then 2 last-second shots. It was the best Final Four that we've ever had. I think it definitely was a lot better than Villanova. I was up with Jay Wright a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, you're up 20. What fun is that? You want to take it right down to the wire.
Yeah. So we alluded earlier to the fact that there were a lot of former players, lots of them. They seemed like they were everywhere. They love you. They have your back. They support you. They go everywhere you go. What is that? Tell us about that relationship.
I think the most rewarding thing as a coach is to see your former players coming back. And I've got one here today, Frederica Miller. Stand up and take a bow. She was on quite a few of our Final Four teams. I love when they come back They all know each other no matter what year they graduated. They know the girls on the team now. They're out there ready to help them in any way they can. If they're going to the WNBA, they're going to take care of them. So it's a great family feeling. Just like Notre Dame, what we stand for is all about family, and our team is no exception to that.
So I was over at your office not a few days after the big win, and it looked like a funeral home because there were so many flowers. But instead it was a celebratory funeral home. And the phones were ringing off the hook, and gifts were coming in. And what happened? I mean, the number of invitations that you've probably received to do all kinds of things. How does that feel, and what's one of the coolest things you've done?
You know, there were so many. Enrique had over 100 invitations before we got back to campus from Columbus. And so she had just so many great opportunities. Dancing with the Stars, did y'all see that? She was on the Ellen DeGeneres show, gets to meet Kobe Bryant. And I was on the WNDU Noon show with Tricia Sloma. And she gets an ESPY. You know, I got to go. And she's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, right? And if you look closely, though, my shoe was in the corner. So technically, I also made the cover of Sports Illustrated. She threw the first pitch, the Milwaukee Brewers. She's from Milwaukee, so they asked her to come out and throw the first pitch. I went to the South Bend Cubs opener, and it was about 38 degrees, and there wasn't anyone there. But I threw a strike, a much better pitch than she threw.
But nobody's dress looked as good as yours at the ESPYs.
That was so fun. And we went to Wrigley. We sung Take Me Out to the Ball Game at Wrigley. And went to the White Sox, threw out the first pitch there, the ESPYs, everything. We had a fun summer.
I love the game day last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
The shot of you and Coach Kelly, where he had his arm around you and he pronounced to the world that you are the greatest coach. I'm kind of paraphrasing a bit, but the greatest coach on Notre Dame's campus. And he meant it. So now we're looking forward to the next season. It's like waiting for Christmas. I hope it is for you too. So what do you think? Brianna Turner's back. You got them all back. Tell us. You know, it's got to be a little scary, hard to follow.
Yeah. You know, you
got to go, don't you?
This is the first time we've been preseason number 1, so we're in new territory here. It's exciting for us. We do have 4 starters back, plus Brianna Turner, which is a great lineup coming back. We've got some really good freshmen. Just have an outstanding team. So it's going to be a time where we've got to embrace the challenge. I think we've got to embrace being number 1. It's going to be really, I don't want to say fun because I never have fun. I'm way too stressed, but I'm going to try to enjoy every game. But I battle the complacency. The team, they know how hard it was last year, but are they going to remember that? Or are they just going to want to get to the NCAA tournament? You know, practice is really important. Every day is going to be really important. And that's my job, is to make sure they stay in line.
So I'm scanning this crowd, and I see some familiar faces. Some of the South Bend fans that have been such an unbelievable part of your legacy here. The best. Tell us about that.
You know, when I first came here, I remember standing up at one of the first luncheons that we had, and I said, my goal is to fill the Joyce Center. And, you know, people laughed because we were getting about 100 people for every game then. And so to see what we've grown into, I see those lime green shirts everywhere we go. We've had a bunch of sellouts. We were 5th in the nation in attendance. We've been in the top 5 or 6, I think, over the last 10 years. So it's been really great, especially on the road, seeing everybody come out when we visit all the ACC schools. So the fans are so important to us. So when we won the trophy, we wanted to go, and we called it the traveling trophy, and we took it around to a lot of spots in town because our fans are so important to us. And I feel like they were a big part of it. They're the reason we won. People hate to play here. I love that. You know, we love it to be just a really hostile environment. We got to work on that for tomorrow. Let's be hostile.
And I love when we're on the road and you look up and there's all kinds of lime green shirts no matter where we are.
And it stands out on TV.
It
green looks good.
And the greatest lime green shirt of all. Matt, tell us about that. You know, I love to watch the two of you together. His support of you is just amazing.
He is amazing. I don't know what I'd do without him because he does everything. I can't cook. He does all the cooking. He does everything for me. But he's the guy that I can go home and I can put on a face for the team like, we can still do this. We're good. And then to go home and completely fall apart. And he lets me vent. He doesn't say anything, just lets me say whatever. And he's so positive. I'll come home and say, worst practice ever. And he'll say, oh, I was there. I thought it was great. Everything was good. So he's the guy that I couldn't do it without. It's so important to have help and have a great partner and a great team. He's the reason.
And there's one more prong to this family. And so you had another big celebration. Your son got married in Paris.
Yeah, we had a fun summer. We went to Paris for 10 days. He got married to Francesca Gardner. She's dual citizenship. She's from Paris, so it was a home game for her. So we traveled over. We were on a boat down the Seine as they got married. It was fabulous, just a great time. And then we took the team to Rome and Croatia. So I've had kind of a global international summer, and we got a lot of work done there. So we're back now and ready to get to work.
That's great. So I think we have a little bit of time for some audience questions.
Congratulations. We played a lot of man-to-man over the last several years, and I think one of your best coaching moves was moving to a zone after all the injuries, and that zone was so effective. Are you going to incorporate that into this year's team, or are you going to stick with the zone, or are you going to kind of mix and match?
That's a good question. I do like man-to-man, and I was talking to one of my assistants. My husband was listening, and I said, we got to go man-to-man next year. We're going to play all man-to-man. And he said, I don't know anything about basketball, but you played a 2-3 zone, you won the national championship. I tried this, I tried the zone. So we definitely are going to play a little bit of both. I think we have a little more depth. We can play some man-to-man. There were some teams we had to play man-to-man because of the way they shoot the ball, but the 2-3 has really been great. We put a couple wrinkles in. We do a little trapping out of it. I think it's a great zone. We played it in other years, and this year I think this team, especially with Marina Mabry out there, she was kind of the catalyst to really get the defense going. So, yeah, I think we'll play some 2-3.
How you doing, Muffet? Especially back in the day when you were talking about building.
I'm sorry, do you have any daughters?
No, I do not. You do not want me for your father. I'm way too selfish. Back in the day, especially, when you were trying to build a program, how tough was it to go against Tennessee at the time, and then obviously UConn, and obviously very successful in doing it and beating their game, but I'm sure you were saying there's 100 people in the stands, so it was tough. And I went to Providence, so I was a Big East guy, and so thank you very much for putting Gino in his place.
Hey, thanks. Well, Tennessee was the program everybody wanted to be. Pat Summitt, just the iconic coach that, we really miss having her. She did so much for the women's game, and I was 0-20 against Tennessee. 2011, we're going to play them in the regional final in Dayton. Federica was a key participant on that team, and all the media wanted to talk about was, you're 0-20, you've never won. And I said, well, I'm 0-20, these guys have never played them. So we played a great game. We won for the first time ever. We get back in the locker room, and the first thing the whole team, all they wanted to say was, 1-20. But she was so gracious after the game, too. Their program was really phenomenal. So that was a huge win. And then we went on and beat Connecticut in the semifinals. So that was just a great year for us.
I just had a question. Where was the Ariama handshake in that last movie?
We should have kept it going, huh? Yeah, it was quick. You might have missed it if you weren't looking, if you blinked.
What are some of the things you look for in a recruit?
Right over here.
Oh, yeah.
Things we look for in a recruit. Everybody that we recruit is pretty talented. They're all state or, the best player on their team. So I look for kids that are unselfish. I want to see leaders. I want to see people that are great teammates. I love to watch kids lose a game. I want to see how they react when the ref makes a bad call, or if the coach yells at them, if the coach takes them out of the game and they're on the bench. Are they involved in the game? When they throw a pass to a teammate, they miss a layup, are they rolling their eyes, or are they encouraging them to get better? So there's a lot of things about character and intangibles that I think are really important. Our team is known for being a really unselfish team, so I think that's one of the most important things. Obviously, they're all great students as well, so great student and a good player, but it's all about the character of the person. I want great teammates.
Muffet, you have a tremendous amount of energy. Where do you get that from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
Well, I'm from Philly. And so I definitely am very sarcastic. That is our native language. And so I think I've always been a fighter. I think when Rocky came out, that was just the typical Philadelphia person. Everybody loved Rocky, and that's how everybody in Philly was. We had to fight for everything we got. So it was a great place to grow up. I went to Bishop Shanahan and then St. Joe's in Philly, and just a great experience for me.
Muffet, great victory last year. One thing, the girl you didn't mention who was injured was Kat with the black eye and everything else. And she came on in the Villanova game in the second half and really spurred us on there early on. And the second question, did you turn down Dancing with the Stars?
I got cut from the South Bend Dancing with the Stars team. Catherine Westbell was the glue to our team. No question about it. She was the most important player on our team. We are really going to miss her next year. I'm already worried about how we'll replace her. She had so many big moments for us, and she was injured almost her whole career. She battled different injuries. She had surgery off season for her ankle, came back, had a lot of problems with her ankle, and then she got elbowed in the eye. Her eyes swelled shut. She was ready to go back out. She couldn't see, so we couldn't let her go back out. So she missed a little bit of that game. Then she turns her ankle first 3 minutes of the first round of the NCAA tournament. So she's going to be out for the Villanova game. Villanova, my least favorite team in America to play against. We beat them one year 38-36. They're going to slow the ball down. They're going to use the entire shot clock. It's the most boring game that you could ever see. So we're going to play Villanova, and usually I don't even play my post. When we play that game, I play 4 guards, rotate a post in a little bit, but they're just chasing somebody around the three-point line. So now I've got to play 3 posts, and Catherine's not one of them. So I'm really worried. It's a tie game at halftime. The trainer, I didn't even have to look at her. I looked down. I didn't see Catherine. I didn't see the trainer. And somebody said she's over there on the bike. She's getting ready. She knows she's going to have to come in the second half. She wasn't really supposed to play because of her ankle, but she came out of the locker room, came onto the court. This crowd gave her a standing ovation, and that was the biggest moment in her career. She talked about that at the end of the year as being one of the most memorable moments. It was so great to see the crowd appreciate what she did. And then we won by 25 just because she was on the floor.
I think we have time for one more question right over here.
Hello. You talked about all the ACL injuries. Has there been much of a development in training or what needs to happen so that all these girls don't develop these ACL injuries?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a women's injury. Just a lot about the way that we're made, a little different. So we are doing a lot more things. We've hired somebody, a doctor out of Ohio, who specializes in preventive training. So we're doing a whole lot of different training things. All this they call it prehab, all this work. It's a lot of single leg work. So they're doing a lot, and yeah, we've been healthy since February. So knock on wood, right?
Okay, last question. No, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think the score is going to be for tomorrow's game?
Irish by 4 touchdowns.
It's good. I like that. So what a treat. Thanks for taking time. I know that you have just been on the run, busy. You know what an admirer I am of you, so the chance to interview you today was a real treat. Thanks.